In the mid-1960s, the Central Intelligence Agency spent something on the order of $20 million in modern terms attempting to turn a domestic cat into a covert listening device. The project was called Acoustic Kitty. It involved surgically implanting a microphone, a transmitter, and an antenna into a live cat. We know it happened because the relevant CIA files were declassified in 2001. The Acoustic Kitty program was first publicly described by Victor Marchetti, a former executive assistant to the CIA's deputy director, in his 1972 book The CIA and the Cult of Intelligence. Marchetti's account was fragmentary. The agency neither confirmed nor denied it. The full documentation became public in March 2001 when the CIA declassified a small set of files from its Directorate of Science and Technology relating to surveillance research projects of the 1960s. Among them was a heavily redacted memorandum titled Views on Trained Cats and a related project file referencing the program by its informal name. The declassified record is partial. The redactions are extensive, but it is enough to establish that the project happened, that it consumed substantial resources, and that it failed. The technical premise was that a domestic cat, properly trained, could approach an outdoor target, say, two foreign diplomats sitting on a park bench, close enough for an embedded microphone to pick up their conversation. The cat's normal behavior would provide cover. The transmitter would relay the audio to a parked surveillance vehicle. The implementation, as documented, involved a small microphone surgically embedded in the cat's ear canal, a small transmitter implanted in the chest cavity, and a thin wire antenna threaded along the cat's spine and into its tail. The procedure was performed by a contracted veterinary surgeon under CIA supervision. The trained behavior was the harder problem. Cats are not, as a class, biddable. The training program documented in the files involved attempts to direct the cat towards specific sound sources using food rewards. The training results, by the project's own internal assessment, were poor. The estimated total expenditure on the program, in the years it ran, was reported by Marchetti and corroborated in subsequent declassification analyses to be in the range of 10 to 20 million United States dollars in inflation-adjusted modern terms. In the project's first reported field test, the prepared cat was released near a target outside the Soviet embassy in Washington, D.C. The cat, on the standard account, was struck and killed by a passing taxi within minutes of release. This standard account is contested. The original Marchetti reporting names the taxi Robert Wallace, a former director of the CIA's Office of Technical Service, in a 2006 book co-authored with Henry Robert Schlesinger. Spycraft states that the taxi collision story is wrong, that the cat was recovered intact and that the program continued. Wallace's account, written from inside the agency, asserts that the taxi narrative was a memorable misreading that has stuck because it is funny. Both accounts agree on the broader fact that the program was abandoned in 1967 without producing any usable intelligence. The internal CIA assessment, as readable through the redactions, was that the operational concept was sound but the operational vehicle, the cat, was not. Cats do not reliably approach the targets they are pointed at. They can be diverted by other cats, by birds, by smells, by their own preferences about where to spend the next hour. The training program could not produce reliable directional behavior at the required range. The project file's closing memorandum, in its declassified portion, states that the use of trained cats for short-range listening operations is not, on the agency's evaluation, of any practical value. The program was formally cancelled in 1967. Acoustic Kitty was not a one-off. The same Directorate of Science and Technology, in the same period, ran or evaluated a wide range of unconventional surveillance and intelligence projects. The declassified record includes ravens trained to deposit small listening devices on window ledges, pigeons fitted with miniature cameras, dolphins trained for harbor reconnaissance, The premise across these programs was that the Cold War's intelligence requirements demanded approaches that did not exist in the standard tradecraft, and that animals, already mobile, already plausibly innocuous, already accepted in the operational environment, were one direction worth exploring. Some of these projects produced useful results. Pigeon-mounted camera reconnaissance was, by some declassified accounts, operationally viable. Dolphin work continued, in a different agency context, into the 1980s. Acoustic Kitty did not. The Acoustic Kitty project occupies a particular place in the popular imagination of intelligence agency excess. It is funny. The image of a CIA-funded surgical team implanting a microphone in a cat that then refuses to do its job is a perfect illustration of the gap between intelligence bureaucratic ambition and operational reality. The declassified record does not contradict this reading, it just supplies the detail that turns the joke into history. There was a project. It cost real money. People worked on it for years. The cat existed. The microphone existed. The training failed, and someone, in the autumn of 1967, signed the memorandum that ended the program. Most spy stories from the Cold War get progressively more outrageous as the documents come out. Acoustic Kitty got progressively more banal. The popular version, with the taxi, is funnier than the declassified one. The declassified one is just a record of a project that did not work for reasons that anyone who has ever owned a cat could have predicted in advance, and apparently nobody at the relevant point in the agency had. The microphone was real. The cat was real. The taxi may or may not have been.